Cool. Well, welcome to the show. I'm excited to have you on. As I'm getting back into social media, this is
Yes.
a great time to chat with you a little bit since I know you're heavily into this space.
Yep, that's
So
me.
yeah,
I'm
thanks
excited
for
to be here. Thanks for
yeah,
having
thanks for
me.
coming on. Yeah. So just to give the audience a little background to you,
Mhm.
um, you're big into food photography. You
Yes.
work a lot, content production, social media.
Mhm.
So I figure that's a great place to start. Everybody loves food. So
Yes.
what have you been doing recently, or what have you been working on?
Actually, okay, I love that you said everyone loves food because I always talk about that because people will say like, "Oh, why do you love food so much? Like, why do you like doing food photography?" And I feel like it's because everybody loves food. Like, it's something that everyone can connect on and get excited about, no matter who you are. I mean, if
Yeah,
you don't like food, I can't trust you. I'm sorry.
yeah.
um, but something I've been working on is obviously always just working on my Instagram, building that, trying new recipes, working on my
What have you tried like
portfolio.
recently? What's like the latest recipe that everybody has to try?
Oh, well, of course, the Dalgona coffee. Did you see that?
Now, what is that?
Okay, I
What
might
is
be totally
all gone coffee?
butchering the name. It's Dalgona. I guarantee you, anybody listening knows what it is. It's
No, tell me about it.
it's been like sweeping the web. Like there's like Snapchat stories.
I gotta look this up. Hold
Yeah,
on. What is it called?
Dalgona. I'm saying it wrong, but it's
How do you spell it? Dalgona?
Dalgona coffee. Um, and yeah, so if you looked it up, it's like I don't know.
Oh, whipped coffee. I've been seeing that this is like trending, like whipped coffee, but I
Okay,
had no idea why.
okay.
I,
See,
I,
you have
I didn't know what it was.
yeah. So that's something I tried recently, and it works. If you're curious, it actually works. You just blend. It's like hot water, instant coffee, and sugar. And I use coconut sugar because I'm always trying to use like the cleaner alternatives to things, of course. And you
Yeah,
whip it up with a hand whipper, like a hand mixer, and then you put that over milk and ice, and it's so good. It's actually really good.
wow.
I will say maybe it's like a little overrated just because it's like so. Of course, it's so big, so when you try it, you're gonna be like, you know what I mean? Like, why is it so famous? But it was good. It was really good. So if
Yeah.
you're a coffee drinker, definitely try that.
Well, is it more the taste or is it how it looks? Because obviously, for it to go like more or less like trending and
Yeah,
viral, like I feel like it's like Instagrammable or now it's like
yeah.
TikTok. Well, I don't know if that's like a term,
I
but
was gonna say, well, what do you think? It's probably
yeah,
the way it looks, right? Yeah. No, I think it's a lot because of like the look of it too. And the only reason I made it was because I mean I do like coffee, but everybody else was doing it, and I was like, oh, I want to put this on my story. Like I want to be a part of things, you know.
yeah.
But that's part of like the whole community aspect of Instagram, which I love. So, but yeah, you'll have to try it. It's pretty good.
So
Um,
it's instant coffee,
yeah,
your kind of whatever sugar, and
my
then
kind of sugar. Yeah,
yeah,
coconut sugar. Yeah, whatever you want
sugar.
to use, but instant coffee, hot water, coconut sugar, and you blend it with a hand mixer, and it whips like whipped cream. It's crazy.
Wild.
um,
Because like who drinks like instant coffee anymore? Like
right.
what what a genius thing if somebody like at one of these like instant coffee companies, was like, let's just like mix this together and see what happens. Like
Yeah,
I'd be curious to see like where this like all started because I mean I know we're like in the middle of this like pandemic right now and
yeah.
supplies are low on a lot of different things. I'm wondering
Oh
like
yeah.
is that why instant coffee is like having a moment?
A
Like
moment.
yeast is too, just an
Yeah.
FYI.
Oh my gosh. Yes,
I
I
can't
know.
get yeast anywhere.
Yep.
Everybody's telling me baked bread,
Yep. I
I'm like,
can't find it
I
either
can't find it.
on Amazon. You know what's so funny? You're so good at like making observations like that and like putting things together. Like I've noticed that you make comments about things and I'm like, oh my gosh, duh. Like I didn't think about that. But yeah, you're right. It's probably partly because instant coffee is something that everybody has around. So it's like, let's find a recipe to use it,
It's
right?
like the last reserves of like
Yeah.
coffee. Like you're out of K cups. There's nothing,
Yeah, exactly.
espresso's gone. Like, I don't know. I guess we have instant coffee left.
Yeah.
Like,
I think that that's like partly the reason for sure. Yeah. But that's probably my most recent recipe that I've tried. That was interesting. What about
what
you?
else? Like, Um, See, I've been trying to break out, like, now, go figure, the time that, like, the supplies are limited, you know, it's like really like, you shouldn't be going to the grocery store at this point in my area at least, or you should be like, very well like
Yeah,
protected. So at the time where I'm like, all right, I have a ton of time at home to like experiment with
yeah,
different recipes. It's like ironically, I can't do that
yeah.
because like I'm not running out to the store to get like three ingredients. I'll like make one trip and get everything out of the week, but I'm a big like Costco person.
Oh
So
my gosh, love Costco.
it's like, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like one of those things where like I bought a ton in bulk, but like how much almond flour do I really need? Like, do I need like a huge sack of it? Probably not. But um, yeah, so
Yeah,
that's I'm like still sticking to my standards,
yeah,
my chicken, my
yeah.
salmon, whatever. But I
You're
haven't
you're
really like,
branching out a little bit.
yeah, I would like to.
I love that you said almond flour, so you're a fellow almond flour user.
Yeah, yeah. I
Okay,
try and
cool.
eat healthy as much
Yeah.
as I can. So
Oh,
I feel like
cool.
that's at least doing it when I'm eating like or making something like
Yeah.
sweet, like dessert or something.
Almond flour is great. I've been using that a lot too. It's a good like gluten-free alternative, just for anybody
Yeah.
who's curious.
But
Um,
it's nice, and it doesn't really even taste that much different. So
no,
that's
it
like
really doesn't.
that's always been like my thought is like when I started, like I didn't always eat super healthy, and I realized that I played like football throughout like my whole life up
Oh
and through
wow.
college, and I was like an offensive lineman, so I was a bigger guy. Like I got out of college, I'm like I'm a little I'm a little bigger, like
Yeah.
I just want to slim down, and be like more of like a healthy like weight. So that's
Yeah.
how I kind of got into like healthy eating. And I
Oh
realized like it's
wow.
not that different, taste wise. Like you can find really anything
Yeah.
that you want that was like a junk food and make
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
like kind of like semi healthy, and it's not so terrible. I know a lot of people don't like like the taste of protein shakes and
Yeah.
stuff like that. There's more to it than just that kind of.
Isn't that so weird how that's happened? Like, we have so many options now. Like, it's crazy. There really is
Mm,
like no reason or excuse to not be like health conscious or health focused or like there is just literally an alternative to everything and it like blows my mind and I love it.
yeah,
Obviously because I'm very
yeah.
food focused.
Yeah, there's so much, and it's like that's the tough thing when I'm trying to tell people like, oh, like look out for this, or because I had to do like a lot of research to understand why some of these foods
Mm,
were not super healthy. Like,
yeah.
yeah, at the end of the day, like you eat fairly healthy, like clean
Right.
kind of proteins and vegetables, like obviously you're gonna do okay. But if you want to like maintain some kind of like social life, I know like right now we can't like do it too much, but
Yeah.
when you're out to eat with your friends, like
Right.
what do you order that's like a smarter choice? Um,
Right.
that
No,
was like the big thing, I think, for me.
that's such a good point. So, okay, so I'm curious because we were talking about veganism before, and how I like, speaking of like health conscious and like trends and there being alternatives to everything. So, we were saying before how I was like a hardcore vegan for a while. Have you ever like dabbled into that at all?
I actually thought about it this past year, but I was like, it was a tough thing because I'm like, I really love meat, like
Yeah,
chicken. I eat it pretty much every day.
yeah,
I was eating steak for the past like year or so. I was real because of my sous vide. I don't know if
yeah.
you're familiar with like that method of cooking. It's like
Oh, right, right, right. Yeah, yeah,
water bath. So I really got into that because you could cook a steak perfectly in that thing. So I was
yeah,
like, okay, I can buy them at Costco in bulk. I could have like like an amazing little steak lunch
yeah,
where everybody, oh my god, you're making steak like every day. Like, yeah, like, and it's like cost effective. Like
yeah,
it's cheaper than even
yeah,
going out and getting lunch anywhere else. So I was like, wow, why not? But then, I've been trying to cut back. 'Cause
yeah,
I don't know, like I
yeah,
hear so many conflicting things in like the health community
yeah.
about is it good, is it not?
First of
Uh,
all, it's funny to me because when I hear you say that, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's such a guy thing to like get like so into the routine of making something and like you can make it good and you just start making it like every day. I
yeah,
feel
that's what I do. I'm like, I throw stuff in my instant pot, like that's
yeah.
cooking. I got this going. I'm like, easy, and it's like easy cleanup. It takes me minimal time,
Yeah.
so I can do things like this.
Um, Yeah, no, wait, what was the last comment you made? Like did you ask a question or something?
So you were asking like, have I ever like dabbled into
Right.
veganism?
Oh,
Thinking about it
yeah.
because you hear all these like athletes and they're like, well,
Yeah.
I do it, or I can still build muscle. Like I think that's the scariest thing that if I'm not, because I've always been told like bring in
Mm,
eat as much protein as you can, especially
right.
because like I'm a bigger guy. I don't want to like just be like super lanked out, and like lose all my
That's like a
muscle.
lot of people's like yeah.
Yeah. So it's
So
like I don't know if I
yeah,
could get all of that from,
right.
let alone like vegetarianism, like
Yeah.
veganism. That's
Yeah.
a tough ask. Like if you were trying to convince me to be a vegan,
Right.
like what would you say that like hardcore
Well,
carnivore?
it's funny because I've never ever been like somebody who's like going to like push my, beliefs on anybody or my lifestyle. So even when I was hardcore vegan, I would never like try to convince somebody. You know what I mean? I just think that like
Yeah.
each their own, like, you know, do whatever feels right for you. And I think there is definitely, especially now, there's so many alternatives and so many options in the grocery store. There definitely are other like sources of protein that you can get like protein from than meat. I think that like right now I'm pretty much like strict vegetarian. Um,
Yeah.
but so I don't really eat any meat, but I definitely like will eat some animal products, but I cut back because to me the whole thing and you were talking about like the reasoning is definitely like environmental. That's kind of like what got me into it before. I think that there is a health aspect to it as well, and then also like an ethical, people have
Mhm.
ethical reasons, but I think that my driving force, like my passion, is like environmental. So that's kind of where I like cut back on that because animal products have such a bigger footprint compared to other foods.
Yeah.
So I try to live like as sustainably as possible. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to try to cut back on that as much as possible.
Yeah.
But
What like I'm always curious, like what got you into like veganism
yeah,
or caring about
yeah,
sustainability? Like because like from my perspective, like there was a few things that I consumed and I hear other
yeah.
people like the reasons that they've gone vegetarianism. Like I watched this
Mm,
documentary called Food Inc., which was
yes,
kind of
that's
eye
a good
opening
one.
for like the whole industry. Now I still eat meat. Obviously, it wasn't enough to like deter me,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
what kind of like influenced you or made you really like dive into that? Like I'm sure
Oh
were you
yeah.
eating like normally before veganism?
Well, that's actually such a good question. I love like yeah. So I we were talking about this before. Big YouTube person, huge YouTube person, which you were saying you are too. So we're both on the same page here. We love YouTube. Um, but I got into it just through exploring. I used to be really into actually like beauty YouTube videos, which is so funny, like beauty and fashion, which is like not something I'm into anymore. And from there, I think I just stumbled upon like the cooking videos. I was always into cooking, and then
Mm,
I found some vegan YouTubers, and they were like so cool to me. I was like, oh, that's awesome. And just from watching them, I got inspired. But other than that, though, I also besides that, I grew up. My whole mom's side of the family, who I'm really close with, they take a very like holistic approach to health and to life. And my mom's side are pretty much all chiropractors. I have a lot of chiropractors on that side.
okay.
So it's very like natural living. And my grandfather and my great grandfather were vegetarians. I have other family members that are
Really?
vegetarian. So I kind of just grew up with that like knowledge instilled in me,
Okay.
which I'm very grateful for because that's not the case, for everybody. Um, I know some people like I talk to about wanting to go vegan and they're like, I can't because it's like, they're younger and they live at home and they're like, I don't really have those options.
Right.
But that's kind of like how I got into it, which is
Well, can you be a vegan anywhere in the country? Is it
yeah.
limited to having like those specialty stores
Mm.
because everything has to be raw in a sense, or
Yeah.
is it
I don't
like unless there's like a Whole Foods around you or like one of
yeah.
those stores, like is it
Yeah.
easy for people like in the maybe in like the Midwest where it's like it's not a lot of places
Uh-huh.
or it's kind of like desolate. Like, is it hard to
Right.
do that?
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be not as many options. You're always going to have like the staples and the basics, and I think this is such a misconception that like things have to be like labeled vegan, like a special vegan product for it to be vegan. Like oats are vegan, beans are vegan, rice is vegan. Like a lot of the staple stuff, like vegetables are vegan, fruit vegan. Like you can definitely like definitely like survive, in areas like that. But of course, it's nice to have like a Whole Foods where you can get like seitan and like tofu and stuff and like those kind
Yeah.
of things. So it's a lot easier that way. But it's interesting because I think this is in a lot of the documentaries, like the vegan documentaries. A lot of like the poorer areas and poorer countries like eat vegan by default because vegan food's like a little, like those staples are like a little cheaper. So a lot of people
That's
do think
interesting.
eating vegan's more expensive, but it really doesn't have to be.
Yeah, I
Um,
guess it does depend on like what's most readily available
yeah,
around you. In some areas, like
yeah,
vegan might be like more of a status thing, and the other one, like you're saying,
right.
like it might be more of like a necessity. Like there is
Yes.
no
Yeah.
other options.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, that's like, yeah, a good point too. Yeah, it's funny because it's like, yeah, out of necessity. It's not really as like much of a status thing, which, it's gotten to be, of course.
Yeah,
But yeah, I've definitely found the balance between that. I think that like I so love the whole vegan lifestyle. I think it's awesome. Like I was vegan for a while, but I just now found the balance of, still living life and, we were talking about this before, like still being like real and like going out and, still experiencing other kinds of cuisines and stuff that aren't vegan. I like that. I like being able to do that. But then I also love knowing that like in my daily life that I've cut back on those products because of what I believe in and what I'm passionate about, which is the planet and the environment and protecting it. So yeah, that's just I love the idea of just like living a lifestyle that really aligns with what you want and what you stand for.
right.
And that's how I've always been, and that's kind of what inspired me to start my Instagram too, is sharing that lifestyle with others. So
And so your Instagram is mostly like, is it food?
it's
Is it
evolved.
just like this whole like lifestyle of like sustainability and
It evolves with me and how I evolve. So it's like when I started it, I was like hardcore vegan, so it was like all vegan stuff, and then I kind of like transitioned into more like I was more focused on rather than just being vegan, I was just focused too on like living a whole entire lifestyle that was so aligned with what I believe in. And so like being sustainable and how I shop and like, buying local because when you buy local, it has a lower footprint because it hasn't had to travel as far. So like
Mhm.
other things like that that aren't just about veganism, you know what I mean? So it
Yeah,
kind of like um, turned into that. And now it's turned into more just like I'm super super passionate right now about just food photography in general, but also still sprinkling in some of that like stuff I'm passionate about as well. But I think that, and again we were talking about before about building a like a having a platform like an audience on your Instagram, and I've kind of found that like it's easier to just focus on one thing,
yeah.
and then like you just tailor to that need like that content. So I think right now my big focus is just like food photography and styling, and sharing
And who
recipes.
care about that, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
the
um,
like amateur cooks and like
yeah,
all the, people out there. Like I feel like the uptick in like cooking shows is, you know,
yeah. Oh, I
skyrocketing.
bet.
Everybody's at home, everybody's cooking.
Yeah, I know it's fun. It's fun to see that because I don't know if you've noticed that like on Instagram. Well, I think you just said that, but how like how many people are cooking now? I love it.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
and
the
it's
people
funny.
who do cook like are like doubling down on it. They're like going live
Yeah,
constantly. And
I know. That that's what we should have done. We should have set up a cooking show here.
we can still do it. We'll, kind of
Well,
table that for another
next
day, but
time,
that'd
next
be cool.
time.
Yeah,
Cook
we'll
together.
collab.
But yeah, I think that it's really cool to see people do that. And it's funny because I see everybody like talking about like, oh, I have time to cook and like I'm doing all this now. And it's just so funny because I'm like, oh my gosh, that's me every day. Like I literally focus so much on like food and my meals. Like I go above and beyond for like every meal that I make, which is like crazy, but it's just what I'm passionate about and what I enjoy doing. But
That's awesome. Well,
um
how is it getting like groceries where you are right now? Like for me,
so
it's like, really difficult. Like even the deliveries aren't. There's like no time slot. So
we just the group that I'm with, we just went to the grocery store yesterday actually, but we've just been trying to go as little as possible, and I wore gloves of course when I went, and like obviously like masks and whatnot, and it's like it's like the grocery stores are still open and we can go, but we're just being super careful. And now after this, like I am not going back for like another 3 or 4 weeks. Like we got a lot of stuff.
yeah.
What about you?
I mean, I make these trips. I go to Costco and I picked up like a ton of stuff last week, but I haven't like I've been trying to check like
Yeah.
Amazon every,
Amazon's
10 minutes.
yeah.
Last night I checked like late at night. I had a little window of time. I was like, "Oh, great." So I put one thing in my cart. I was like, "Let me go back. I'll throw a few more things in." By the time I got back, the slot was gone. And I'm like, "Oh my God."
Oh, you're talking
So
about the delivery.
I've been
Yeah.
checking it every day. Like
Yeah.
I'd rather not go out to the store. Like I have enough food to last me,
Yeah.
but the next order I think I can get isn't for another like 2 weeks. So
It's best to just
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, these companies are just like I don't know. They must be like hurting like
Yeah.
Instacart. You
Yeah.
know, I don't know who's running these things now, but these
Yeah.
people have to be running nonstop.
Yeah.
There's a
Um,
lot of people waking up.
oh yeah, we were checking the group I'm with. There's four of us. We've been checking like online for the slots as well, and we couldn't find an open one. We were just like, oh my gosh. But it was like we had to go to the grocery store because like I said, there's four of us. Like we were running low. And I think if I was by myself, I would definitely be able to like get creative and like just make it work. But when you have four people that like when there's not enough food, it like can get kind of like too much,
Yeah,
you know? So we had to go, but like I said, I'm gonna avoid it now and just like use what we have. But I think that just inspired me. I feel like I should make some recipes that are like super like simple, like quarantine friendly recipes where it's like you don't need a lot of ingredients. It's stuff that you probably have. That would be like perfect for right now.
yeah. Like what would be the best recipe that you have that is like the fewest ingredients? Yeah,
Oh,
somebody put out this bread the other day. Didn't seem like there was a ton of ingredients in there, but like something that people have around or like I could
yeah.
try out.
Well, you know what? I feel like this is a good one because there's like everywhere seems to be out of yeast. And that was my problem because I wanted to
Right.
make
Yeah.
bread so bad and they didn't have it anywhere. So I ended up doing 2 cups of chickpea flour and a half a cup of almond flour. And then you whisk that together with a tablespoon and a half or a teaspoon and a half of baking powder, baking soda, sorry. Whisk it together. And then you slowly pour in a 12-ounce sparkling water. And then you mix it together. And then you bake it. And it literally, it rises like bread. It's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
But
it's just like seltzer or
yeah,
club soda. Like
which a
that's
lot of people have, you know?
yeah.
But I'll be posting that in the next couple of days. So you'll have to try
I'll,
that. I would
yeah,
love
I'll
that.
try that out.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Yeah,
Um,
because I've been like everybody's just make some bread, make some bread. I don't even really eat bread normally, but
Me
I was
neither.
like,
No.
so yeah, I have no problem. Like it looks fun. Everybody's like, um, it's such like a good experience. Like it's a very rewarding
Mm.
experience. Like I don't know if you feel the
Yes.
same way. Like I don't know if you've actually made like
Yeah.
bread with. I don't know if it's any different, but everybody seems to think it's like a good a good thing to make
Yeah.
versus like something else that might just be like throwing burgers on the grill. Like that's nice, but I don't know that it's like much work goes into it.
That's so funny. We're having burgers for dinner tonight. So that's just so funny you said that. But we're having Beyond Meat burgers. Have you ever tried the Beyond Meat?
I I've tried the Beyond sausage
So good.
from like I think Dunkin' Donuts had it, and I was like I'm just curious. Like
Right, right.
it was pretty good. Like it doesn't taste very different than actual
No,
sausage.
I don't think
It,
so either.
if anything, it's like more seasoning or more spices. Like it's got more flavor.
Yeah.
But I haven't tried the burgers, so
It's really good. After this whole thing's over, you have to go out and get some and try. It's really like freaky how much it actually tastes like real meat. But that's coming
yeah.
from someone who hasn't eaten real meat in like 5 years or 4 years. So who knows? But also going back to recipes, are you like into like baking at all? Do you,
See, that's the thing. I don't bake a whole ton. Although it's like it's nice. I've made I'm trying to think what the last thing I baked. I bake a cake for my dog like every year for her birthday.
oh, that's
And that's
adorable.
really like in all honesty, like the only thing that I bake. I'm like, I'll make her a cake and like
Yeah.
that's pretty much it. So
That okay, that's hilarious. I love that. But I was gonna say because I have a lot of baked good recipes like on my page that you could try. Because I just feel like baking's so relaxing, and I've noticed that a lot of people are doing that like right now, and I think it's because it's such a like when you're stuck in the house activity. But I have some almond flour baked good recipes, so you'll have to check out
I'll check that out.
recipes.
Like, so I guess that's like interesting you say that, like it's more like baking is relaxing versus like cooking, which a lot of people I guess are like a little adverse to sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, when you have the option to like order out or go
Mm.
out. So what do you think like baking is more relaxed? Do you think it's more relaxing than cooking is?
Yeah, I think it's because I feel like because any sort of baked goods kind of like a comfort food. I don't you
Yeah,
know,
I guess you're right.
that's a good question. I also think too that it's like it's almost like it's like not as hard. It's almost like anybody can do it. In a sense
Mhm.
that you're just like mixing things together and then putting in the oven. Whereas like you look at something like a dinner recipe and you're like, oh my gosh, that can take so long and there's like so many steps to this and it's like so involved and it can be
Right.
kind of scary. But that's a good question. I don't know. I don't know what
I
it is.
mean, I think that does make sense that it is more of a comfort food. Like
Yeah.
it's like a because especially if you're trying to like cook something healthy, like it's not gonna like always smell like, oh my God, like
Yeah.
oh, it just smells like plain chicken breast. Like no one's saying that. Like no one's like,
Yeah,
you
you're
know,
right.
boasting about that.
That's
So
so
maybe
funny.
that's why like the whole house like fills up with that smell of like fresh bread, or it's
Yeah.
like that, sweetness of
You're
whatever like
like
dessert
the
you're making.
house it smells like a boiling steak. Is that what you would say?
Yeah, no one's saying that. No one's
Yeah.
making a candle scented, chicken breast. Like
Yeah,
they're
you're
making
right.
cookies and
Oh my gosh.
whatever else. So I
Another
guess that makes sense.
another good observation by you. I see.
That makes sense. But
Um,
maybe I should try and bake something.
yeah, I think you should because yeah. And the almond flour blondies that I made were really good. I
Love
think you'd like
fun.
them. Yes. Okay, you gotta try it then. They're
They're
so good.
good.
It
I
involves
will.
a cup of almond butter though, so be prepared for that. If you, I don't know if you have those kind of supplies.
Yeah, I'm running low on that kind of stuff. Like I've only gotten like the
Yeah.
basics recently. I haven't like branched out and gotten more of that, but
Also,
hopefully when the delivery slot opens up.
yes, yes, soon. Also though, it's funny. The reason I love doing baked goods though too, of course, it comes back to like an aesthetics reason. But they photograph so well, and it's just like I just have I love shooting baked goods. I don't know why. I think like I said, it's easy to take pictures of, and also it's like really easy to like incorporate different parts of the dish in the picture. That makes sense.
So like what do you mean by that?
So like I'll do like so something I've been really into like a style that I've been into recently of like, food photography is you have like the main dish and then you include little parts of like what's in that dish around it and like a little bowl. So like I'm trying to think, let me pull up a picture.
Is
So
it like a little glass mason jar of like cinnamon and like,
yeah.
is
How'd
it
you
like that kind of
know?
stuff?
Yeah, I was gonna say for this one, like I put you can't really see, it's not really focusing, but oh you can't really see it. But it was carrot cake, but in the corner I have like the whisk that I use to make the
Oh, that's
icing
cool.
sitting there with like the icing still on it. You know what I'm saying?
That's smart though.
Oh, thank you.
Do you realize like a difference like in I know it's not like all about the likes, but like do you realize like a difference when you post things that don't have
Mm,
that, or
you
like
know
what
what?
made you start saying, I'm gonna like build a little bit more into this picture? Because I know you're like big into that the food photography.
You know
So
what's so weird is I think that like I don't think any of that has to do like likes because I see pictures of like I see pictures of food on Instagram that are literally like so plain. Like it's so bizarre to me and it blew up and has like thousands of likes. And I'm like, it's just so weird to me. I'm like, it doesn't look like there was really any like work put into it. So I don't know what the secret recipe with that is. It's to getting pictures like blowing up. Sometimes I think that like Instagram's algorithm just always changes and it just they pick
yeah.
random things to like put on the for you page or whatever. So, but anyway, that was talking about the likes. But then you asked, what did you ask about? Oh, getting into the doing that.
Yeah,
Um,
like how did you start like saying, I'm gonna leave this whisk here? Like,
yeah.
because now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, maybe that's why my pictures seem like,
Well, I
not the
think
best.
what it is one, it's being real with yourself and critiquing your pictures. So I look at my pictures and I look at the people, my like people that I'm inspired by, food photographers. I'm like, what's the difference here? Not that I like want to like copy them, but
No,
like,
that's
yeah. Like, why is this look really, really professional compared to mine? And I just started making like, connections there. Also, though, I took a lot of like food photography courses and I learned them,
Okay.
those techniques in there. But yeah, you should
Or
try that.
like, yeah, I'm gonna try that because now that I'm thinking about that, I'm like that would add like a little bit more like character,
Yeah.
like a picture.
Yeah.
'Cause I've been taking pictures of like my lunch, or whatever, and I'm like, this looks kind of shitty. Like I'm like, this isn't anything I'm like excited to post, but you could almost make it like funny, like because I see a ton of pictures that look beautiful, and I'm like, that's not really me. I would like to do that, but have like a little
Yeah.
humor to it. So
Yeah.
now that I'm like thinking about it, I'm like, I guess
Yeah.
that
You
could be something like incorporate if if people out there are trying to like make their little food photos pop a little bit more. You could really include like anything you're saying.
Yes, exactly. And it's crazy how when you learn tips like that and like little techniques and you implement them and you look at your pictures and you're like, wow, why haven't I been doing that all along? Like it seriously will make a difference. And then I just have been doing it now so long. I'm like, I'm just so glad I learned that. But it's all about the process. Everybody has to start somewhere, you know? Um,
Right.
so obviously I look back at my old pictures and I smile. I'm like, oh, that's so funny. I've like come so far. Um, but wait, I was going to mention something else. Did you ask another question? What did you say?
No, but I guess like on that same wave, like anything else from like even like an angle wise, or
Mhm.
like anything that people could set up like
Yeah.
something simply while they're at home without having to like go out to the store. Like I think you mentioned before something like how you're setting up your shots, but like just a few tips on like what you've learned from
Yeah.
doing this, or like your food photography course, or like
Yeah.
anything we can like up the game of our food photography.
Okay, so yeah, I'm glad you said that because I remember my last point. It was going to be about that. So, um, yeah, so I was going to say about making the light box, which I was talking about earlier. I think that's a good tip. So, I like have a makeshift light box near my kitchen, and it's basically just three pieces of whiteboard that you put one on the bottom, one on the
Mhm.
side, and one behind it. And then you put it next to a window. So the window, like the lights coming in, natural lighting is always the best for food. That's like another tip. I haven't like dove into the world of like artificial lighting yet. It's
Okay.
very hard to get into. So in the beginning, I would just stick with natural lighting next to a
It's
window.
like sunlight. So like
Yeah,
by a window or something like that, like in your house.
by a window, and you don't want the light directly on the food because that creates too much shadow. Unless that's the look you're going for, that's like a style. But most people doing food photography like that nice, like airy kind of like clear look. So you want to do it a window, sun not shining right directly on the food. And the reason the window is great and not just directly outside in the sun is because the window acts as a diffuser. And you kind of want a diffuser when you're taking a picture between you and like the light because it just makes the lighting less harsh on the food, which is like kind of like usually what you want when you're doing food photography. So then you have the window on one side. At the opposite side, you have the white board, which reflects the light back onto the food from that side and from behind.
Okay.
And that is like the perfect little lighting setup, I swear. So anyone can try it. You could try it. All you need is three whiteboards. Um, and by whiteboard, I mean poster board. Sorry.
Yeah.
And then,
Something that most people probably have like around, or
yeah,
it's you know.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, if you look around your house, yeah, you can find them probably. I'm trying to think. There was another tip. Oh, I would say adding different things to add like texture. One little tip that I have. It was funny because I was doing this last night, and my cousin who I'm staying with was like, "What are you doing?" So I was taking pictures. I made these like frozen banana pops where I just like you dip you put a stick like in the banana and you dip it in chocolate and then freeze it. It's like a
Yeah.
banana pop. Okay,
Oh yeah, yeah.
I was taking a picture. I was gonna take like an overlay picture from above, and I wanted to put it on a like tray. And so to add texture, I took some parchment paper, some like brown parchment paper, and I crumbled it up and then laid it flat again and put it on top because the crumbled paper kind of added some texture.
Oh
So
wow.
playing with like texture is fun and adding like little different like layers to it as well.
That's pretty
Um,
cool.
that kind of makes it like more
Yeah, I'm
professional.
sure you have fun with it. Like the more you do it, I'm sure like you're realizing, oh, I could
Yeah,
like throw this in there, or
yeah,
that
definitely.
might work.
Yeah, you kind of just learn as you go. But I know it's funny because I'll look back on my pictures and I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's crazy. Like I'll get discouraged now because I'm like not exactly where I want to be with this. Like I definitely intend to like get better and better and just be like become like my main thing.
Yeah.
And I'm just not there yet, and it's okay because I'll look at old pictures and I'll be like, wow, I came so far. And you can apply that to like anything that you do that you're passionate about. I'm sure you can look at old work and be like, wow, I've come so far, you know?
Yeah, definitely. So what do you eventually want to do with all of it? Like what would be like the big goal, or you could look back and say, all right, I like did that.
Yeah. So I think that my biggest goal is like right now I'm at one of my goals, which was being able to do this like on a freelance level. So like, having people pay me for my work. Mind
Hmm.
crazy. Like I can't believe I'm doing that. That's so cool. But I definitely want to get to a point where it's like I would love to do like for bigger brands in the like natural food and beverage space.
Hmm.
Like big brands like I like how you see like on packages of food like pictures? Like I'd love to
Yeah.
be the one taking those. You know what
Okay.
I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's like kind of like the level that I'd like to be at. And I'd love to be completely self-employed, just like doing it myself. And also I'd love to be at a point I love like teaching and instructing. That's something I also love doing. Um, but I don't have the patience to be a teacher, unfortunately. So I couldn't do that. um, but I love, love, love teaching people things. So I'd love in the future to be at a point where it's like I have my own online program where I'm teaching people about food photography. That
That's
makes sense.
awesome.
So yeah.
Yeah.
But I hope those were helpful tips. So
Yeah. No, they're definitely good. I want to try them out. Even like messing around with the picture, just adding things to it.
I would love to
Be
see
kind
you.
of fun.
I would love to see you set up a light box. I'd love to see you
How
like
am I thinking about it?
that would be so funny to see you take these tips and then like try it with your meals and see how it turns out. That'd be funny.
Like I'm trying to think like if I came to you and I was like, all right, I want to do this. It's not going to be like a serious tone or like just some, I know like a lot of your shots are like beautiful, like little snapshots. How could you add? I'm just trying to think like how could you add like a little sense of humor to that?
Oh, that's funny.
Right,
Yeah.
like 'cause I've never seen something like that. Like where it's like I know there's. Have you ever seen the "You Suck at Cooking"?
Yes. Yeah.
Now, like that's good, and they have a very unique style. So it's like something like that. Like I know they use like a bunch of weird props and stuff like that, but I didn't know
Yeah.
if
You know what? That's
that
so
might
funny.
be
I
able
think
to,
we
like,
found
make
your
fun.
I think we found your $1 million idea right there.
Yeah,
I think that you need to do food photography and add like a little kind of like funny like a joke to all of them. I feel like I take it so seriously. I have no ideas for you. I don't. I've never done that
well,
before.
yeah, that's the thing. Like that's why I find it hard to fit in with that community, and like I've always wanted to, but I'm like I'm not that serious. I'm not.
Yeah.
That's just not like me, or else I would do that.
Yeah. So I get that, and I think that like I've noticed from you. So you're definitely somebody who's you don't really take social media like super seriously. Basically, is what you're saying, right?
Not really. I mean, I was into it for a while. I felt like I had fun with Instagram, Vine when it came out for a little bit. But then like after a while, I was just like, probably within the past couple years, and even on Snapchat for a good bit, and I've really fallen off.
Yeah.
And now it's like, okay, like starting this podcast is like something that I've always wanted to do, and
Yeah.
wanted to do kind of like my own style, which
Yeah.
is just like this kind of like figuring it out as we go and just talking to
Yeah.
cool people and seeing what happens. But
Oh, I love that.
like, I don't know. Like I know you mentioned before you were on YouTube for a little bit and now you got off. Like what? Like how are you figuring out how to get back on or get back into that? And like for me, like someone who wants to get back on and be like active in social media again, like how do
Well,
you do that? What does it come down to?
interesting. I don't know if you'll like relate to this because like you obviously have like passion projects that you work on, like I do. Um, it's funny because it's like sometimes I'm in the mood or like I'll have something where I just execute it. Like I just do it. And that's how I was with YouTube the last time. I feel like I just like was like, I want to be a YouTuber. So I just started making videos. I just did it.
Yeah.
And now I think I'm taking a different approach, and I think I'm kind of going to plan a little bit more before I just jump right into it, and kind of like make like a game plan. Like I'm going to write down like, okay, like what kind of content do I want to make? Like what kind of videos? Like really be like super what's the word? Not mindful, intentional about it. Um
Right.
but I'm kind of just waiting for like the right time. I don't know. I guess it's funny. I think it's like I'm saying I'm waiting for the right time, but now I'm realizing as I'm saying this out loud, the right time's now. I should just do it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing. It's like when we say, and like I say it myself, like I have to like get this down first, or like I have to whatever. I'm like starting to think like, is that just an excuse I'm telling myself?
Mm,
Like it's not the right time. Like, I mean, if I say that I don't have time right now, that is a
yeah.
lie. I am putting my time towards something else. Like, yes, I'm still
Yeah,
like
right.
working, like, 8
Yeah.
to 5, but I'm not, I have plenty of time to like make things. If I wanted to make a TikTok or something, like it's just an excuse if I say like, I don't know, like, no, I'm just watching
Yeah.
them. I'm not doing anything. So
Yeah.
I guess,
I know. And that's kind of like how you were with this podcast. You just decided you were going to do it, right? Like you just kind of were like,
yeah, I
I'm
did
going
it initially like last year, and then I was like, okay, and everybody's like, all right, well, trying to give me advice on like how to move this forward, and what that might look like. Like, what is the end listener going to get out of this?
to,
Like, these are all great questions. These are all like awesome things,
yeah.
but it just didn't feel like it meshed well with me. Like I love bullshitting with people and I
Yeah.
like creative people. So I was like, let's start off with this and see kind of where that goes.
Yeah.
Um, versus like trying to make something that has already been done where it's like I'm only
Mm,
interviewing people who are like thought leaders and this and that. Like I think everybody's interesting. Everybody has
agreed.
things to add,
I love
value, all that stuff. So that's why I wanted to test this out to see. You don't have to be reaching out to like
that. Yeah.
celebrities or
Yeah.
internet like
Obviously.
personalities
Yeah.
to like have a good show or a good
Yeah.
conversation. Um, so
True.
yeah, I don't know. There's partly to it like setting it up, but then also like this, I was just like, just gotta run with it and like let's just get it up and going again.
No, I totally agree with that. I think that that's the right attitude because I think a lot of times if you really think about it and you think, why am I not starting this right now? A lot of times it'll come back because you're, scared or you're embarrassed or, you don't know where to even begin or you feel like you're not good enough, you're not an expert. But if you always remind yourself, you have to start somewhere. Like
Right.
everybody starts somewhere. So why not just start right now? And I kind of like that approach that you were talking about just figuring it out as you go too. Like once you start, it'll evolve the way it's supposed to evolve and it'll happen for you. So yeah, I think that that's like actually really good advice right there. So I'm gonna start my YouTube channel
Yeah.
today. Mark my words.
I think that's good. Yeah. I mean, I think like that's what it comes down to. Like this, just getting this off the ground. Like I guess it's a weird stigma that I've always had that it's like, okay, I'm like, 35. I should like have it figured out by now,
No one ever
because
has it figured
everybody else seems to, have it. But in all reality, no one really knows. Like
out.
even older people might not know. So it's like, I can't, but everybody that's on social media for the most part, some are genuine, but most are probably living a life on
Mhm.
there that is not true to like their actual feelings or reality. So it's like I can't base it off of people who are like, the
Yeah,
fake it till you make it type thing. And it's like, all right, let's just put this out there. Like I have no idea
yeah,
what this is gonna be, but I have a vague vision of what I'd like it to be. So I think
yeah.
as long as you keep your eyes on the prize, like
Right. And also we were talking about earlier, like maybe not like attaching an outcome to it. And that's something that I kind of practice just like that's just like a spiritual practice that I focus on in my day-to-day life is and you can apply it here to this is like not focusing too much on the outcome of what it is
mm,
or attaching an outcome to it. Because that kind of takes away from the experience and you never know where it's going to go in which direction. So maybe just taking it for what it is right now at this moment and enjoying it and doing what you love and sharing what, makes you happy and just seeing what happens with it, I think is like the
right,
best. I mean, because it's so hard to go, it is so hard to go into a project and say, I'm going to create this YouTube and I'm going to blow up and I'm going to have how many subscribers, and I'm going to be sharing videos about this that are going to get shared. And like that's just, I mean, anybody who's done that before, which I think a good amount of people have at this point, created a platform with intentions of getting, you know, big from it, will know that you can't just claim that's going to happen. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like,
Right.
you never know. You never know. Social media is so funny how it just like, it just sometimes you just get popular on there. It just happens. But I think that like if you just focus more on the content and like making it as authentic as possible and what you truly want to share and like really making it good, I think you're bound to, you know, be successful, whatever that means, you know.
Right.
Whether
Yeah,
it's,
that's a good point.
yeah. I was gonna say whether it's just you accomplish something for yourself, whether you just inspired one other person or you have like a little following or you have a big following, you know, you
Right.
did it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just I think it's just the fact of like putting it out there
Hmm.
is is the hardest part, but it's probably the most, you know, liberating part of it too, because
Yeah,
then you did it. So
I agree
uh,
with that.
regardless of if it's like perfect or not, it doesn't
Yeah, that's
really
for
matter.
sure.
So
Um,
we're both gonna get after it. I'm gonna get back on social media, but it's like I think striking the balance between enjoying life
yeah,
and doing it for the camera is
yeah,
something I'm always like
yeah.
conflicted with,
I
because
feel,
I don't care to be famous. A
yeah,
lot of people that are out there putting stuff out there constantly, like I think, you know, there's a good amount of them that would
mm,
want to or hope to become famous from doing this.
100%. Yeah,
Not my intention, but it's like I don't know how to balance like being authentic and real and like in a sense not giving a shit to put everything out there, but then putting the right things
yeah,
that are like I know it goes back to probably like what you said, like passion, and that's
yeah.
like what drives you to put things out there. But I want to
Yeah,
see your
that's
thoughts.
so interesting. I know it's like there really is like a balance to be found there. And I don't think anybody like has it really figured out because I mean, like if you think about it, social media is like still kind of new in a way. I think we're still trying to learn how to navigate that, but I do think that we're moving into like a time like a shift where it's like we're all kind of moving towards being a little bit more real on social media. And I feel like I've noticed that. Have you noticed that at all? Like on
A little bit like some people, like I don't see anybody that I'm like, wow, I really relate to them. Like there's certain people, but not or people that I know that have like I've seeing them come up like that one cooking channel for the
yeah.
Sous Vide everything. Like, you know, I've seen this guy where he's like, you know, started off and I was watching him when he's like in his office and he's like literally making, you know, all these like meals in his office and sharing them with his
Yeah.
I guess like his family. And now he's like got this like really nice like kitchen, you
Oh
know,
my
all
god.
this stuff, like this whole big production. So obviously, like, you know, you see him kind of stepping up,
Yeah.
you know, game over time. But you know, I think he was being real from the beginning, and a lot of people probably are.
Yeah.
People think that I'm coming in late to the game. I don't see like I always like to see like when I find a new YouTuber or something, I always go back to their first like
Yes. Oh yeah. I
see
think everybody does that.
where did you start from? Like, what were you doing? And like some of these are like completely like random videos, like
Yeah.
nothing to do with their actual channel. So that's why, you know, I like. It's almost like nice to see that it's like they didn't start this off and say like this is exactly what I'm doing. Like,
Yeah.
and then they kind of like hit something that
Yeah.
struck a chord, and then they started
It,
going with it.
it's always cool to see people being like completely authentic and just letting things happen naturally. It's inspiring. And I think that it's good that people are shifting towards more, you know, being real on social media because that's what we need. We don't need more people that are being like that are being fake, that are just showing only the good stuff because it's just like it creates like a toxic environment. You know, it's not really encouraging. So I love that. I love like following accounts like that, and I try to be, you know, as real as possible and not always like, you know, put the perfect meals up. You know, I try to make a point to like sometimes show meals that like, I mean, even though I really do spend so much time on every meal that I make, and it's just because it's just I'm so passionate about it. I love like styling everything I make. It's just a habit at this point.
Yeah,
But you know, sometimes if I do just throw something together, like I try to show a picture because it's like, no, not everything you eat is going to be perfect. you know?
Right.
So if everybody made like an effort like that, I think, social media would be such a better place, a more encouraging atmosphere.
Yeah, then everybody would, or more people might join
Yeah.
in
So if
versus not.
you were to kind of work on your Instagram, what kind of content would you share? Or have you not really put a lot of thought into it?
I've put thought into it, and it's like I'm not really too sure. I'm sure, like food wise, I think cooking. I
Yeah.
think the thing that's been holding me back is obviously because I'm concerned what people think is like the food photography aspect, where it's
Yeah.
like I could sit there and make it look great, but then it's not authentic to me to be
Yeah.
like some serious, like kind of
Yeah.
comment post caption
Right.
with a serious picture, because that doesn't line up with me. Like
Yeah.
I'm a little goofier. I'm like a little lighthearted.
Yeah.
You know, I'm serious about certain things, but for the most part, like
I see exactly what you're saying. And it's so funny because you said that earlier about, finding a way to make it kind of goofy and funny. And I think that that's something you should brainstorm on and you should think about, because I don't really like see any pages like that. And like, this is how like something like this is like born. That's like going to be, could be huge, because I don't know anybody like that. So I think that's a good idea that you should probably work on. I like that.
yeah, because it's like adding that sense of humor that would line up with me. Like
Yeah.
I find it so hard to post something if it doesn't feel like so
Mm,
like natural to me. If I'm
yeah.
not making like some kind of like pun reference, like
Yeah.
or something where it like lightens up what I'm
Oh,
posting.
yeah.
I don't know, but I think there's like something to that, or even just being like even taking cooking and making it like culturally relevant. Like whatever's happening in the news, like I always thought was like a good idea to take like trending topics and then make a meal around that.
Yeah.
Like, figure out what
Oh,
somebody in the news their favorite dish is, and it's like, having so and so over for
that
dinner, and
part.
this is what you make. Like, I don't know, it's like a way to like get people into that, but I'm like, do I keep it healthy focused, or is it kind of whatever? Like, does
Yeah.
it really matter? Probably not, but those
Well,
are like some ideas I bounced around.
you know what's funny? You just said doesn't matter, probably not. And it's funny because, again, like I think the reoccurring theme with our chat today is like balance. We keep going back to balance. But finding the balance there too, between knowing that who really cares. Like, I mean, nobody pays attention to your post as much as you do, probably. Do you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like, you put so much thought, where, like, just being real, like probably 80 to 90% of people just literally like swipe, look, swipe, like they just like don't even really study it. So like that's just the reality of it. I mean, unless you're maybe like, I don't know, like Kim Kardashian or someone really big, maybe people are looking at your posts more, but like most of the time people are just going to scroll through it anyway. So
going
not
through.
caring too much because you know that fact, but also putting work into it, because and that's why the work that you should put into it you really enjoy, because that's what you're really getting out of it, is uh,
Right.
from that. But also you want to obviously, put some work into it because you enjoy it, but also because there are going to be that 10 to 20% that do look at it maybe a little bit more, and it does like inspire them and they do learn something from it. I mean, I don't mean to look at it in a negative way, but that's really how.
I don't think that's negative. I think it's like at least realistic
Yeah.
for people that might, feel the same way as like I do,
Right.
where it's like, I don't know, like you want to put something out there, but it's like, is it worth your time too? Like, because then I'm like, I don't really care. Like, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. But you're right. Like, for those 10 to 20% of people who
That actually
that's
look.
really all that matters. Like, if you make them smile or whatever, like, if
Yeah.
that's all it does or inspires them to like try it, then maybe that's what's worth it. Because I know you were saying before, like, it's about like you really like the engagement from it.
Yeah.
People commenting back or saying, nice words about
Right.
something you help them with. I think that's what it comes into, because I like telling people about new things that come out that could like be productivity hack or whatever it is, and they're
Oh,
like, oh
that's
wow.
something that you could
I
share.
showed somebody the other day something like an Excel, and they were like, oh my god, I never knew that. I'm like, but it's so random, but
That's like
I'm
something you
sure
could
people
do
are
too.
interested in stuff like
And I
that.
think that, like, I think that if you're looking to really like build a platform and a following, like I already touched upon this before and talked about it, but really your best bet, if that is one of your goals, which is totally okay, because that's a really cool way to, reach people if you want to have a career based off Instagram, or if you have a business where you're trying to reach people. That's totally okay. That makes sense. If that's your goal, I think the best way of doing that is focusing on one thing and really honing into that content and sharing it. I've noticed. But I think if you're not really caring too much about the following as much, like, and you're just looking to have fun and maybe just like reach a few people, maybe just have a little bit of a community, like, I think sharing whatever you want. You know what I mean? If that day you're like, you know what, I'm going to share a positive quote, or like, I'm going to share my meal for that day. I think that that's, the way to go, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
it's all stuff that I used to do. I think it got so complicated when there was like stories introduced, and then it was Snapchat, and then it was,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think because there were so many platforms, I'm like, it almost was like an exhaustion where it's like before it was just like I'm posting on Instagram or I'm posting on Facebook or Vine or whatever. And now it's like really like,
Yeah.
it's everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's like, and I've never even like really tweeted. I did one last week, and the one before that was probably like a year or two ago.
Oh,
Where it's
I
like,
never use
I
Twitter.
don't know, like
Yeah.
Twitter's a whole nother like,
Yeah.
I don't even know. Are you on there? Like, do you ever?
I know how to use it just because of like being in digital marketing stuff. Like, I'm familiar with it with Twitter, but I don't have a personal one that I use. I just cannot get into it for some reason. I don't know why. It's just not
It's,
my place.
I don't know. I don't know because I have a hard time with it too. I don't know if it's just like because I feel like the engagement could be high, but it's like where do you even start off? Like
Yeah.
more of a private person. I'm not like everything out there, but
Mhm.
some people like to put every
Yeah.
thought out there, which I don't know. Maybe that's what it's for, but
Yeah. I know. I think that like a lot of it too is I don't think that my like forte is captions as much. I've kind of gotten the groove of captioning my photos because I post such similar things, the food photography. I'm like, okay, I'll write a little something about the dish and then the recipe, and I've just kind of got into the habit with that. Or if I'm managing a social media account, I get into the habit of like, what to do for that. But I think with Twitter it scares me because it's like I don't feel like I'm clever enough for Twitter because it just seems like it has to be like a clever like sentence or two. Do you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like, I
and
don't know what I would say.
it does seem like that because it's like for writing, like you know, it's these like little quick blurbs. It's like everything that turns into now like a meme. You
Yeah.
know, it's just like social commentary and like quick witted kind of like.
Right. And I don't feel like I don't know, I don't think I'm made for that space. I'll stay on Instagram. I love Instagram, so
Yeah.
stick with that.
And I
Uh,
guess it's okay to just be on like one
yeah.
platform versus trying to be on all of them because I
Oh
think
yeah.
like even starting this up, it's like okay, when I started my podcast last year, I got too in the weeds of okay, I need to be on this and I need to be on that, and I'm like, how is this going to look across everything? Because it seems like you have to make sure that you're in all the right places.
Yeah.
But like, what's your take on that? Like, you could just live on Instagram. Like, at the end of the day, you're relying on that if that's where you want to build your following. But
I think that for me, it's like the way that I see it, I have to be completely honest and transparent. Like, I definitely go back and forth when it comes to Instagram and how I want to use it. There's times where I feel like, wow, I think I want to focus on like building my following. And then maybe like from there, I can start doing some more collaborations with brands and companies and, doing food photography for them like through Instagram and stuff. And then other times I just almost look at it as like a portfolio.
yeah,
And I don't focus as much on like building the following. I more just focus on the content I'm putting up and just using it so that like in my own, like my career, when I'm, going to apply for a job like in digital marketing, or I'm looking to, do food photography for a client, like I have that there and they look at it and they can see my work. Um,
right.
so I kind of go back and forth on that. But I think that if you're like a company wanting to reach as many people as possible, I mean, it's probably best to be on all social channels because you're just going to reach more people with it. But I just think for me and my personal, like just my personal page, I just feel like that's a lot
Mhm.
to do. And I kind of just like focusing on Instagram. But I think that could be also like partly me holding myself back because I think that like if I went onto Twitter, like a different channel or like Pinterest or whatever, it's like, oh, I have to learn that now,
Right.
And like I said, I know how to use it. I'm very familiar with it, but I would have to find my way on there in my little routine. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Like, yeah.
now,
Do you feel like right now you have like a set way to go about like, okay, I'm gonna post like
yeah.
this, like a content calendar? Like, how do
Yeah.
you organize all of that
I
stuff?
don't have a content calendar for myself. If I'm managing an account, like I'll do a content calendar, but for me, I just kind of like I said, I'm a list maker. I have a list in my phone with like all of like my ideas of posts that I want to do, and then just like day by day, if I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm gonna make this, I'll do it and I'll take a picture. And I have my light box all set up, and yeah, so I kind of just take it day by day, whatever I feel like shooting that day. But then of course I'll have like some people send me products, so I'll be like, okay, I need to do that by this certain time,
Right.
like I worked with Daily Harvest recently. Have you heard of Daily Harvest?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So good, so good, by the way. This episode's not sponsored.
Yeah, no, not sponsored. But I mean, if they want to, they can
Yeah.
come back and do something later date. Right.
um right. No, yeah, so they like sent me product and they wanted me to take pictures by a certain time, so obviously I had to do that. But other than that, like I just take it natural. I'm like, whatever I feel like doing, because I definitely was in like a time period where I was very obsessive over like when I was eating, what I was going to eat. Is it Instagrammable? Is it like, am I going to be able to take a picture of it? I got there and I was there, and I've recently kind of gotten out of that and been a little bit more relaxed with it and realized that
Yeah.
I don't have to take pictures of every meal, but I can still enjoy my passion. So
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like balancing. Like, are you enjoying that moment that you're like having this,
right,
or is it like
yeah,
interrupting
that's
to like take
yeah,
that
and it's
picture?
such a good point. Like, or like I think that people definitely like. I get a little self conscious like when I'm out, out to eat somewhere. Or just like taking pictures of my food in general, because I know that there's like people that are like, oh, are you even really living in the moment? Or are you just taking pictures of your food? And it's like, I don't know, I just really enjoy doing it. So, but I
Right.
do think that it's important to like make sure you're being like in the present, like present about it too.
Well, if you don't feel that you're not being in the moment and taking that, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But if you feel like that is interrupting, then maybe that's how you like naturally
Yeah.
feel. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
don't know that it has to be like one way or another. It's probably like you say, like what are you most comfortable with?
Right.
If it's
Exactly.
not, then maybe that is, and maybe that's not your thing. But
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
so like
Exactly.
the daily harvest, like how did you do that? Like their imagery is like so attractive.
What is?
Is the Daily Harvest.
Oh, I know.
It is. It just like I look at it, I'm like, damn, that it looks like it's just like peeking out the top of the cup,
Oh, I
and
know.
it just looks like so good. I'm like,
So you've ordered it before? You've tried it?
I have tried it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
So
haven't tried a ton of it. I think I've done like a smoothie or two, but I like
so good. I know. And
I've
see, like my goal is like you see like if you go to their website, you see their pictures. Like I want to be taking pictures for Daily Harvest, like on a like more professional level rather than like blog style.
yeah.
Like that would be awesome. Like those are the companies I want to work with. So, um, but yeah, so that was really cool, like trying their product and everything.
Well,
And
how do they get it to look so good? Like there are some brands that really do it well.
yeah,
I feel like they're one of them.
I think
Even like it's just like the way that they do it. Like even some ice cream companies are like,
there's
they're-
definitely like tricks to the trade there. I think that a lot of it, lighting is going to be your number one thing with food photography. Like the lighting is key. Like it has to be perfect or it's like not going to look appetizing. So I think getting the right lighting, which those kinds of companies, like their professional pictures that they have on their website or like on their product or whatever, like are taken with like artificial lighting usually. So doing the right lighting, and then also obviously like having like the right backdrops. And I think that like there are certain tricks, like I know sometimes I've done this myself to make a bowl look fuller. Like you just put like a bunch of like other food, like I don't know, like let's say you're making like a bowl, like a Buddha bowl. Do you know what a Buddha bowl is?
not too familiar. It's just like
It's like different veggies like all together in a
okay.
bowl. You've seen pictures of them. if you want to like, make the bowl look fuller, you just put like a bunch of like just random food, or you could put like really anything to like lift it up, and then you put everything on top. So if I had to guess, that's probably what they're doing with the smoothies there. They have something in there that like makes it higher. Do you know what I'm saying?
Raises it up. Yeah.
So that's like there's definitely just like little things you'll learn as you go. And I've had to like learn to not be afraid to like fail, or like to not have a picture, because there's probably like 200 pictures that I've never posted because I was like, that's not good enough. Like, I don't think it's like that great. But
Yeah.
okay, you know?
So like with that even said, like going back to our earlier point, like when do you just say, I'm going to do this first one and I'm not going to redo it? Like it's almost like I'd like to have this be like an unedited podcast where it's like a lot of people will go back and cut this and this and this,
Mm,
or there's a
yeah,
little bit of dead time, or there's an or a like.
yeah,
So when do you like balance? And I know the food photography is so different because the whole point of it is for it to look nice,
yeah,
but it's like balancing that like perfect shot versus like
right.
sending it out.
Well, I think that like part of that is like it depends on what you're shooting and like who it's going to. Um,
Yeah.
and right now, like I said, I'm definitely like doing more casual, like lifestyle stuff where it's not like going to be 100% perfect, um,
Mhm.
just because I feel like I'm still learning. Um, but I think that the key is, like I said, like going back and looking at your old photos and remembering like how far you've come and knowing that. But I think that too, it's interesting. A lot of the pictures like that you're saying off Daily Harvest, they or any big like food brand like that. I forgot to mention this earlier. You also have like retouching afterwards as well.
Mhm.
Food photography, just like you would like a model, like a picture of a model where they retouch it. Like they do that with food too. Like you put it in Photoshop and like something looks like a little off, you can edit it, and that's why they look so perfect. And also, it's funny. I follow this one food photographer on Instagram, and she was showing on her. She posted like a little tutorial. She literally added like an ice cube to a drink that she took a picture of, like afterwards in Photoshop, and it looked so real. So you
Really?
have to remember that too. Oh, is that me? Oh no, that's you.
Sorry.
Um,
Yeah.
you have to remember that like people like and it's funny because like people will get like insecure because they'll see pictures of models like all edited, and you have to remember like, oh no, they've been photoshopped and all this. That's how I feel probably a little bit about like when I see pictures of food, like, oh, am I ever gonna get there like with my pictures? And I'm like,
Right.
oh,
Yeah.
they are edited afterwards too, which I think sometimes is a lot of it, like kind of like more than just talent is like the editing process too.
Yeah,
So
it's wild to see like some of the retouchers and like compositors that we see come through. I'm like, oh my god, like that's
yeah.
incredible that
Oh yeah.
that is like not real.
Yes. It's such a skill, and that's one of my like quarantine things I want to start learning. I feel like I'm making this list of quarantine things.
Yeah, what else is on your quarantine thing list?
I'm making this list of quarantine things to do, and I'm realizing, okay, quarantine's gonna have to be like 5 months for this to like all
Yeah.
happen. Which I'm not even gonna speak that out loud because we don't want that to happen. Um, but yeah, so doing that, just taking a lot of like online courses. Like I really want to learn a lot, but a lot of my goals recently have been to do like online classes during this quarantine. I feel like I haven't even really had that much time because I've been working on like other little projects, like little freelance, like side projects. And also I've been doing a lot of interviews because I'm moving to Philly, and so I'm doing interviews. But I definitely want to get back to like learning once all of that's over. What about you?
Yeah, it's just really like this is my first big thing off the list, just like getting this off the ground and kind of
Yes.
getting back into social media and maybe the cooking show in the meantime.
Oh my
I
gosh,
just I
yes.
just have to find my like voice with it, which I feel like we've kind of talked through it today a little, like
Yeah.
social media therapy.
Yeah, no, seriously. Like I think
Figuring,
what was the conclusion I think we came to? I think it's just like you just got to do it, and you just got to start.
yeah, just do it, and I think kind of mixing like whatever your personality is, whatever feels right with that.
Yeah.
So if it's like a little sense of humor, if it's like healthy but not 100%, like all that together could be a real authentic
Yeah, key is being yourself. And yeah, being yourself because you want to be authentic. That's how you're really going to connect with your followers, is by being authentic. So do that. And then, but also, you know, not being like concerned by the oversaturation of people that are already doing what maybe you want to do, because you're different. You're going to have your own spin on it. I feel like those were like, they're like our good takeaways from our conversation.
Yeah. And it's good. Like, it's like how I feel about this, where it's like, I'm not mirroring anything else. I'm letting it kind of like flow into whatever it is. And that's why it's cool. And I'm excited to have people like you on to just kind of like
Yeah. No.
back and forth about and just talk about things that are relevant.
Um, yeah, no, I know it's been such a good conversation. It's so fun to talk about these things too, because a lot of things that we talked about, I feel like were things that people like think about, and and some of it is stuff that people don't really talk about. I you know what I mean? Like, to do with social media, because a lot of people don't like to like really admit sometimes that like they like, you know, want a following, or they want to like they really want it. Took me a while to be like, you know what, I really want to be a YouTuber, like I really want to like grow a following on there, and to be able to actually say that, you know. So I think that if anybody's, you know, if anybody's listening, I hope somebody's listening, is yeah, don't be scared to like, you know, be real with what you want to do, and just do it.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to put that out there, and like, yeah, that's the same thing. Like, just getting back into it, and seeing where it goes. But yeah,
um I was about to say my my laptop's on 2%.
well, we can definitely collaborate again. Maybe we'll do like a little like cooking, like a little live cooking together or something like that. I have to make sure I can get the ingredients, but
Please, okay, that's gonna be our next collab, cooking
yeah,
related.
we'll follow up and do something. But I'll check in on your YouTube. You can see how I'm coming along with this stuff, and
Yeah,
maybe launching a little cooking show soon. So
I know. I
see.
feel like we both have good takeaways from this.
Yeah, yeah,
And
it's all good.
I'm gonna start working on my YouTube. You're gonna start doing your cooking. Like, we got this.
We'll be good. But yeah, thanks for hopping on. It was awesome to talk with you, and
Thank you for having me. This was so fun.
yeah, we'll do this again soon.
Okay, sounds good.